Peterson is back in the courtroom, at least in spirit, if not in actual person.
Mm-hmm.
This is an interesting deal because there's an appeal before the 3-judge panel, and we got a little bit of this in with the reporter who was in the courtroom yesterday. There is an appeal that says basically on the merits of, and whatever you do appeals on murder convictions like Drew Peterson has sustained. And there's 2 prongs to this. And his attorney, who was there making the argument, Steve Greenberg, is on the super celebrity hotline. And first of all, before we even get to what the merits are, because I think you're going to have to explain this, Steve, a little bit better than I can, but because you're the attorney. How do you think it went yesterday?
I thought it went well. I thought they listened to the arguments. They asked good questions, and I don't mean to be condescending. They asked questions which were what we anticipated. Basically what we're saying is that the trial was sensationalized for someone's gain, and some of the decisions that were made were in furtherance of sensationalizing the trial, and also that they overlooked just some very basic rules of confrontation and other rules of trials. I think that things were done differently because it was Drew Peterson. So
let's talk about exactly what the merits are here. There's a couple things. One, you're arguing that there was ineffective counsel here because Drew's initial attorney, Joel Brodsky, had entered into agreements for remuneration with media outlets. Is that the...
Well, we're arguing that there was a conflict. So an attorney is supposed to have his client's best interest. And the rules are clear, and the state doesn't dispute this, that an attorney cannot enter into a promotional contract, so to speak, a contract to appear on TV, write a book, or anything like that while he is representing the client, because subconsciously that might influence some of your decisions. And you may not be able to point at any specific decision, but it's always in the back of your mind, what can I do that'll make this juicier at the end? That's one of our claims. That
would be the centerpiece of a conflict there, right? That would be the... Although there's no... Do you have to have evidence to show that he intended to do that was his mindset, or is it just the concept?
Well, if there's the conflict, if you have a media rights contract, and this is the first time in Illinois there's been a court that's really had to consider this. Mm-hmm. Years ago, the Gacy court had to consider it because the attorney turned down the media contract. But this is the first time someone has accepted it. If you accept the media rights contract, it's our position that you don't have to show that there were any prejudice at all, that it's just presumed. It's what they call a per se conflict. It's the same thing as if you find out that your attorney was representing the star witness against you and didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Attorney could have done a great job. There's still a conflict is just presumed because it's just one of those strange relationships that makes you question the integrity of the entire process.
Steve, I don't know if you've probably seen the co-counsel you're talking about has already responded publicly to this, and he said he's amazed, shocked. He calls it lies that you're telling, and he says that you were actually interested in publicity and not him. I know you guys have feuded on and on and on, but why would he be coming forward at this time when it seems like, you're trying to argue for the client you both would like to help, right?
Right, and I'm not going to get into that. It happens that he's the one who did the contract. If I had been the one that did that contract, it would be wrong. If Lopez had done it, it would be wrong. It doesn't matter who did it. It's wrong. He happened to be the lead counsel, so it's probably, more glaring because he was the lead counsel. But then there's the second issue that we had, which was the ineffective assistance of counsel. And what that really is that the whole Harry Smith thing, where Harry Smith said that Stacy told him Drew committed this crime. And so trials are made up of facts. A witness could not come into a courtroom, sit down on the witness stand and say, I know the defendant did this, and then leave, which is essentially what happened in our case.
And your argument is that by calling him, him being called to the stand, that was such a blunder of a defense attorney that that it rises to the level of ineffective counsel?
It clearly was. The state, again, in their response brief, couldn't come up with a single case where it would justify any precedent for it, anywhere where any other lawyer had ever done something like that. And again, that's not directed towards Mr. Brodsky. So one of the things that the court asked and the state has said is there were 6 attorneys. Well, there were only 4 attorneys there that day. But even if there were 6 attorneys there that day, it doesn't change the fact that what occurred in court was not what we like to refer to as an objectively reasonable decision. You can have lots of reasons why you do things in a case, and sometimes they're just wrong. You know, you take a risk and it's the wrong risk. But in this case, there's just no reason anyone can point to as to why you would have called that witness to say that your client committed this crime.
Is it against Brodsky specifically or the entire defense team? You were part of that defense team.
I was part of the defense team. It's just saying that it's not against Brodsky. It's not against the defense team. It's saying that the defendant did not receive a fair trial because of this mistake.
Got it. All right.
Right.
All right. Now let me ask you this, because now a Southern Illinois judge, you know that Drew Peterson has found trouble again while in prison. The feds want to bring a case against him, saying that I guess the state wants to bring a case against him that he plotted to kill James Glasgow, the Will County State's attorney, while behind bars. And what's interesting is that Drew had asked for a speedy trial, and they were scheduled it, even though he got charged with this in February, they scheduled it for July, which obviously in Illinois is pretty speedy. But now they're asking for more time because they are not prepared. You have any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I've had a little bit of contact with the attorney on that case, and I think that there's a lot of issues that need to be resolved. There's a lot of tapes he needs to listen to, and you want to take an adequate amount of time to prepare. The fact is that the appellate court on our case is probably going to take, I would anticipate, 4 to 6 more months to decide the case. It's a large record, and there's a lot of complicated issues, and it's a high-profile case, so they're going to take extra time because they know their decision's going to be scrutinized.
What's the best outcome for you here? What is it?
There's no outcome. There's no outcome for me.
No. I mean, the
question is, but people misunderstand that. Say me, Brodsky, all that. The question is, there's a man in jail. Whether you think he did it or he didn't do it, the process was flawed. So, at a minimum, he should get a new trial, a fair trial, where things are done properly. Okay, so that's what's important.
Is that the best case? If you're Drew Peterson, if I'm Drew Peterson, if anybody is Drew Peterson sitting in a cell now, based on this case that we're talking about that you were arguing yesterday before the appellate court, the best possible outcome that appellate court would offer him is a retrial, right?
The appellate court could find him not guilty. We have argued that, but that is extremely rare for an appellate court to do that.
Okay. But a new trial, you think, is within the realm of possibility?
I think a new trial is very much within the realm of possibility. Now, here's a question for you.
Yes.
What is harder, to defend Drew Peterson or to stop a puck?
Depends on who's shooting the puck. Puck that I'm shooting, much easier to stop the puck.
No, well, I heard you talking about Corey Crawford. I think that's the hardest job in sports.
Yeah,
I
feel
think so
for
too.
him last night? You're just like, the pressure on that one guy. I was feeling it watching.
It was
the pressure on those goalies is unreal, and the pucks, I don't know how they even see the puck coming at them.
Well, sometimes they don't, because there's always some brute standing in front of them. I don't know how we got on this, but okay. I'm with you, Steve, on this. I'll say that would be tough. Would you defend Drew Peterson again if there were a retrial granted?
Possibly, sure.
Okay.
Sure. I mean, I think we should have won the trial the first time. I think we were winning the trial the first time. Again, it's not my call whether someone did it or didn't do it. I think he should have won the case. I think he should win a retrial. I think he should win the appeal. I'm a little bit biased.
A little. It sounds a little bit. But you're a Hawks fan. I'll forgive you your biases.
Cancels each other out almost.
I think so.
Right.
You're a Hawks fan.
I would have come to the United Center to do this interview. It would have been the only way I could have gotten in.
Yeah, we were told you were previously indisposed yesterday, so that's okay. We understand that. All right, Steve, thanks very much.